recording just so we have it, and I probably won't publish all of it, but I wanted to today to share with, and I'm glad that Mike, you don't have a lot of perspective on Richardson Plano. I think you pinged into a few meetings. I think you came into I don't know, remember maybe a Wednesday meeting, and then you come in on Friday. I don't remember, but I know you pinged in a few times. And Jason, I know you're over in Fort Worth. One of the things I want to talk about, and John's been a member for a long time, but he's in the car, so and so is Ricky, but and Alan. But I really want to have a mastermind, expanding the mind beyond what I can think of around RP Networkers. I want to talk about what we're doing today, some of the things that I'm thinking of, because what we want to continue to do, and which I sent in the little email that I sent out this morning, and if you didn't see it, don't worry about it. I realized that may not have Randy here, and I really want to have him in some of the discussion. He has such a knack for asking really good questions. So I kind of know what the questions are here when I'm talking about Richardson Plano Networkers, which really impacts everybody on this Zoom as well as a lot of people who aren't on the Zoom. But we want to move forward. One of the things that I've shared with many of you is that I'm never satisfied with this group just maintaining status quo, just continuing to do what we were doing before, and just kind of turning the crank. We're 7 members away from 1,700 that have been part of or are being part of us on Meetup. And so I wanted some of you may not even know what we've invested or what we are investing in and what we are doing to support the people who choose to join Richardson Plano Networkers. So I want to kind of share a few of those bits and maybe get any of your input, and anything is fine, just your thoughts, so that we can factor that into the bigger picture. Does that make sense? Remember, the mastermind is a thing where I can sit in a room, or I can sit with 1 or 2 people and kind of noodle things out or try to figure out what to do. But if we can expand our mind, if we can get people looking at the beach ball from different angles and talk about what we're wanting to accomplish and or what we're running into, what kind of the obstacles are, then we can maybe come up with solutions I wouldn't come up with on my own. Okay, and this would be a model for your business, your practice, your challenge as we're going forward. So that's what we're going to do today. I appreciate everybody making an effort to be here, and I'm sure we'll have some folks kind of join us mid-conversation around noon, because that's kind of the modus operandi of a regular Friday meeting that I'm trying to evolve away from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to share my browser, and I'm going to talk to that. But before I do, since I'm not sure everybody knows everybody here that's on, you guys are going to get an opportunity that maybe the others that join later aren't. But Alan, why don't you introduce yourself, and then Jason, and then Mike, and then Ricky and John, or John and then Ricky. I'm sorry, Alan, Jason, John, Mike, and Ricky, in that order. So Alan, why don't you go open your mic and go first? Just kind of introduce yourself real quickly, and then so all people can understand your perspective on some of the things we're talking about.
Okay, fair enough. My name is Alan Diamond. Good morning, everybody. I'm in the financial service business, representing primarily New York Life, but I work with about a dozen different insurance companies, help people protect their assets, grow their savings, and plan for retirement.
Thanks, Alan. Good job. So financial services. So you're coming at it from that perspective, and I appreciate that perspective, because we have a number of financial services folks in the group, and so the things that we do need to serve that community as well. And now we have another financial services / insurance person, Karen Burkholder, has just joined us. So I'll call on her in a second. Jason, why don't you go ahead? You've opened your mic.
Sure. Yep. Jason Madden out of Fort Worth. I own a company called Mad Logic, and I help businesses find ways to optimize and streamline their day through technology, either by custom software or just stuff that's over the counter or off the shelf, kind of like Zapier or Integrately. So, yep, that is me.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. Got you, Dave. I did hear you. I was just
Yeah.
or I've got somebody doing some work here, and they had a question, and so he's going to come back because I couldn't answer it. Okay. All right. Let's keep moving. John Moore, can you open your mic and give a quick introduction of who you are, your perspective on this conversation? Don't wreck your car.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'm John Moore, and I provide hope, peace of mind to families, small businesses, commercial drivers, and also employees with Legal Shield and ID Shield. Fundamentally, what we are is a membership services to allow you to access law firms nationwide and in Canada as well for any issue. If you could talk to a lawyer about anything and not get a bill in the mail for $300 an hour, would you do it? That's the basic premise. And with everything that's going on with the pandemic, the risks of your identity is compounded. And we have the premier identity theft solution in the marketplace. I'm right now looking specifically to network with financial services folks and folks in the employee benefit space. Again, I'm John Moore with Legal Shield and ID Shield.
Great, John. Thank you. And I will, since you're on the road, I'm going to mute you back, and you'll have to unmute when it comes time. Okay, let's go to, let's see. Well, Karen, you're up in the alphabetical order, so I don't miss you. Go ahead.
Karen Burkholder, Insurance Agency. My Legacy Planner is now live and on Amazon Kindle. So it's what I've been working on for 2 years now, Dave. So 2.0 is now live and on Amazon, and you can get it on Kindle.
That's awesome. Yeah, and so again, you missed the part, but we're going to be talking about RP Networkers and the investment that we're making in this community and how to increase the value. That's the Mastermind challenge that we're going to tackle today. Mike Del Toro, a relative newbie here, and he's coming to us from Cancun. Wouldn't be a bad place to hang out. I did that about a year ago, actually in Playa del Carmen, but close by, and it was beautiful. Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you, David. Mike Del Toro here. We live in Crowley, Texas, but our daughter and grandson is from North Dallas, so we are in that area quite frequently, and right now here in Cancun, Mexico, on vacation. But we're basically a vacation benefit savings program. We have a commercial division in which we offer this as a program to employers. If there's a company or a business having a problem with attrition, with the employee loyalty, then this is a great way to solve that problem. And also on our retail side, through our website, 5diamondclub.com, you can just go online and get the same benefits. It doesn't have to be through an employer. So just great to be here. We pass everything at cost, all the vacations at cost. We only profit on the subscription. So it's like no other rates that you'll see out there in the general public. Very, very different rates from what you'll see from travel sites, travel agencies, or timeshares or travel clubs. So just great to be here. Mike Del Toro, co-founder and CEO of 5 Diamond Club. Thank you.
Welcome, Mike, and be interested in your perspective on things since you're relatively new to the equation. Okay, well, Mako, you jumped in there. So what we're doing, Mako, is introducing ourselves, and the topic of the day is RP Networkers and how to move forward and increase the value of what we do. That's going to be the Mastermind Challenge. So, but I wanted everybody here to kind of understand where everybody else is coming from. So why don't you introduce yourself? We have some folks here that may not know you, and we'll keep moving.
Good afternoon, everybody. I apologize for being tardy, but my name is Mako. I'm with Bullet Graphics Center. My brother Art and I own a small printing company, commercial printing company out here in East Plano. We cater primarily doing B2B business type printing, including in-house forms for companies, as well as their sales and marketing collateral materials. And I've been a member of the Plano Richardson Networkers for several years now, and I'm an avid fan of everybody involved with that, and looking to see what I can do to help support everybody else in that group. Good afternoon, everybody.
Thanks, Mako, and I really appreciate you hopping on here. And never apologize for, you say never be afraid of moving slow, just be afraid of standing still. So if you're trying to jump into the flow and you're a little bit late, I appreciate the effort and honor every moment that you invest in this group. So, and I want to make sure you understand that. Okay, Ricky Jean, can you open your mic and share with us, brother?
Am I there?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. Ricky Jean Wright. As they say in Texas, I ride 2 horses. I'm involved in musical entertainment with a duet partner, Miss Denise Owen. I'm involved in recording music, and find me on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all those places. Under the heading of Ricky Jean Wright or AmericanaSingerSongwriter.com. I also do a little business in the business world out there with credit card processing, with merchant services, with a little company that I formed in 1994 called Cabrera Wright Company, Ricky Jean Wright.
Thank you, Ricky. I'm going to close this for a second. And let's see, did I get everybody? Did I miss anybody? I'm trying to see. Okay, we may have, like I said, it's not even noon yet, so we may have some others join us. And if they come in, I'll if they haven't already introduced themselves, just so again we all know in the mastermind where each of us are coming from as we weigh in or help us expand our thought process here. I'll allow them to first introduce themselves before I ask them to weigh in. But so let me do this. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to do probably the most obvious thing is I'm going to share the meetup group that we currently have, and I want to talk about that, and then as we go through here, I'll talk about some other resources. As you can see, today Richardson Plano Network says 1,600 plus members, and it shows that so we're, as we said, 1,693 if you look at members here. So you can see who's participated and or participating actively in our network. And so that is the meetup site, all of the events. And I'm really just, some of this, you're going to say, I know all this, but I just really want to get you to kind of help me connect the dots here and think about things that may or may not be effective. But, we look at the description of the group. It has pretty much stayed the same since the beginning. So one of the things I'm looking at is, does the group, how we're describing ourselves today on Meetup, is that comprehensive, and is it doing justice to what we are really trying to accomplish? So that's a question. I'm going to give you. We can just jump in. So it's, it says we're an energetic group of business leaders, professionals, entrepreneurs who value networking together with integrity. We invite positive motivational business people to join us each Wednesday from 11:30 to 1. We are non-exclusive, so on and so forth. If you go through this, one of the things I noticed in this when I was looking at it, because again, I'm trying to go through, we're going to do some branding and some integration of the things we're doing, is it just says Wednesday. So when somebody this is the overall group description. So I need to go back and change that. Is anybody on the group new or old? Good news is we continue to get roughly 5 people a week. We were at our peak before the zombie apocalypse. At the peak, we were adding 1 person a day or 7 people a week. And current statistics are we add about 5 new people a week. So we should be at 1,700 within the next week or so. That to the meetup group. So the meetup is attracting people in. The question is on the table, and I'd be interested in anybody's thoughts. So if you have a response or have something you'd like to a comment you'd like to make on that, I'm going to kind of break this down. We'll get as much as we can get done to talk about this, but any thoughts on the description of the group, especially from folks that have been around for a while, but also the new folks that have just joined us? Anybody have any comments, ideas, anything occur to anybody? Does it seem to be accurate? An accurate description of who we are?
I think it is.
Okay.
I still think it applies.
Okay. All right. So again, I don't want to belabor any one point. So the other thing is when you look at the group, and this is again on Meetup, is, for example, today's event is Stay Connected and Thrive Mastermind. And this is our Friday event. And then you can see we have the Monday mixer, what we call our weekly cheers night. And that mixer has become pretty effective. We've had new people show up. It's really good for people who maybe want to get to know people a little bit more. Ronit just joined us last week or so, and she's been, getting more engaged in the group. She's new to the area, came here from California. And then we have our Wednesday meeting, which was our original only meeting when we started this back in 2014, and it was only in person. So now the Wednesday meeting being hybrid, the Monday being only in person and really a mixer format every week, and then Friday is only on Zoom. So talking about our events, that's these today and Wednesday and Monday. Any input, thoughts, ideas, improvements? You guys are all on Zoom. I've had some people giving me some input on the Fridays as what they would like to see. Some people miss the fact that we're not meeting in person as well as on Zoom. Any thoughts around our weekly events?
I think there's a lot of flexibility in them and a lot of opportunity. It just depends on what your own personal schedule is like. And then you've got several days to choose from. So,
do you think, Alan? Thank you for. And again, there's no bad comment here. There's nothing that I'm really wanting to engage your mind to think of. These are things that I'm thinking about. And again, if we were talking about your business, your marketing or whatever, the value of the mastermind is, you look at it and not just affirm, but if there's anything you can think of that we might improve, that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing, I won't be offended or anything about anything because I really want us to move forward. Jason, I know your mic's still open. Do you have any?
So thinking about the description thing again, maybe it doesn't mention much enough about the mastermind, because to me that's big if you're like providing time to help like growth for Especially because you and Sablik or Randy, I can't. Yeah, because you're both hosts of them, host on the Fridays. Kind of great resources that I think could draw more people, like new people that are kind of trying to grow. I don't know. So
Good. Well, that's good from your perspective, especially because I know you're again relatively new. You're trying to grow. You bring that kind of millennial perspective to the equation. So so you feel like we could beef up the description of what it is a
yeah, I
little.
think, and kind of get the growth mindset kind of in place where I mean, so there do a lot of the business book reading, and it's all like there's so many that's like talks about growth mindset and not growth mindset, and I think that those like keywords there might be triggers for people to join. So I don't know.
Okay. No, I mean I don't know either.
Yeah,
And there's not an answer, and that's why I
yeah,
say this is really helpful because we don't know what we don't know, and we all have blind spots. So I appreciate that thought. Anybody else have any thoughts around specifically around the events, the description of the events, the investment we're making, those kinds of things in that? I will tell you, I've had people say, why do you have so many meetings? Why do you do, why are you doing so much? So, I mean, I've got there's nobody on this particular mastermind, but that was something that I thought about. Mako, did you have a thought?
Well, I think this is for really the benefit of newbies or anybody new to our group and everything. I think we can help them understand that this is just, the first initial step of growing your business, that, you really have to take the next step, which is like what you promote, is doing the one-on-ones beyond just showing up for these meetings and trying to see where your power partners are within the group, because you're obviously not going to do business with every single person that you come across in here. But I think we play up the part that this is an excellent tool for developing, strong relationships with some of the people within the group. That again, it's all up to you. You just can't show up and it's a magic bullet. You got to take it beyond that.
So, if I'm one of the things that I get, and that's something that I think in the conduct or the explanation, I think what you're highlighting there is I think we need to do a better job, and this was one of the things that it kind of occurred to me, is I kind of see personally how the dots connect, and how each of these events can support, the growth of and the value proposition to the members of the group. But I don't know that we sufficiently connect the dots for folks in terms of explaining that the Wednesday meeting in particular, or the Monday, where you're coming and people are getting to know your name, you're getting to know who's in the group, in the pure networking part, but just knowing that they exist. Mike Del Toro, he's pinged into from Cancun, and he's here, but the way that relationship grows, and the reason why we emphasize members having 3 one-to-ones and then basically referring people either to the group or referring business within the group, is just showing their investment. And I don't know that necessarily, I think probably everybody here for the most part understand that like you do, Mako. But I think that a lot of people, we do, especially some of the newer people, maybe that isn't as clear as it needs to be. So maybe we need to figure out how to make that education or that level of understanding more clear. Is that a fair restatement, or if I got it right? That's important to me to understand.
Yes, I concur. Yes.
Okay, And that's good. I appreciate you validating and actually adding to one of the things that I had is I think because we are doing so many different things that, and even people that have been around for a long time, I think that we end up being confusing or people don't understand, especially when we get into some of the other things that I'm gonna try and talk about, which is the Facebook group and some other things I want that are resources available to our community. And believe it or not, I've got people. I think probably all of you. I haven't checked. I think probably all of you are members of the private Facebook group. But I've had questions when I've had one-to-one say, well, what's the difference in that, and you know, what am I supposed to do with that? So we'll talk about that in a second. Any other thoughts on just our Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the events, the description of the events? Any ideas, thoughts? The other thing I'm interested in is just those that are at least in this mastermind. What do you think about our current discipline, if you will, around Monday Mixer being only in person? Does that, I mean, we tried to do a virtual mixer when the pandemic was, or the zombie apocalypse was in full. Tried to bring in people on Zoom to, you know, have a drink and do these virtual happy hour type function. It really didn't work well for us. It seems to me that the Monday Mixer needs to be in person. Is everybody anybody have a thought on that?
I agree with that. And I like the format of the Monday Mixer being exactly what that is. So I look at the Monday as much more of a social event. I love the format of course, the Wednesday is traditional networking, who you are, what you do, et cetera, et cetera. But the value add for me has been the Friday. I would describe it as much as about business education as anything else. And that, to me, that is one of the things that really separates Richland Plano from the other networking groups. There's only one other that I'm aware of that really does more on the focus of business education.
Okay.
Versus the hi, it's me, Shoa, it's me, and this is who I am, and this is what I do. And if you don't, right. if we don't talk, then you're out of luck. Yeah. That's I like the value of the format of what we're doing.
Okay. Thanks, John. Karen, did you have a thought? I see your mic's open.
Oops. I was playing with the lighting and didn't realize I turned the mic on.
Any thoughts while you're on mic? Any thoughts?
I mean, I like the way everything is set up. It's just that I'm getting busy enough that I'm glad I have 3 opportunities, and maybe I can get on one of them on the week. Yeah. So,
well, actually, that's really good feedback, Karen, because I understand that, and I mean, you know, it's kind of, and I kind of like sometimes, you know, I spent a few years kind of running the business operations of a church, as well as, you know, and you have different services, if you will, different opportunities. And if you're not careful, people feel like they got to be at every one. But really the intent for the different opportunities and the Monday, Wednesday, Friday is, number one, they're different formats. Evening, both the other 2 are at lunchtime. One is on Zoom. The other is still hybrid. And that's a question I actually have that I would like to throw out to this mastermind too, is should Wednesday continue hybrid and should Friday continue only on Zoom? We kind of did the mixer thing. I thought that was kind of low-hanging fruit to say, yeah, it'd be hard to do a mixer. I don't know. I haven't found a way for us to be really effective with that. Any thoughts on, for those that either do or don't participate, doesn't matter, with the Wednesday hybrid meeting and the Friday Zoom only? What do you think about that question? Anybody?
Yeah, I guess I'll put my 2 cents in. I've done both, as you well know. For me, the piece that's missing is the personal interaction before the meeting actually starts. And I'm, Randy certainly encourages it on the Wednesday Zooms, but it's not the same as shaking hands or bumping elbows or fists in terms of the apocalypse. But I kind of stratify things. I look at Wednesday as being, this is my introductory moment. I say who I am. It's my elevator speech, basically, in 10 seconds. Monday night is a socialization meeting, but it's also an opportunity to start to build a relationship on a personal level with the people that are there. And hopefully that crowd size continues to build. And then Fridays, I look at it like John does. To me, it's a lunch and learn, and it's been very, I think very educational in a lot of aspects. That's my 2 cents.
Well, Matt, your 2 cents are worth a lot more than 2 cents. I appreciate that feedback. I think you've done an excellent job of kind of positioning, the intent of those things. Let me ask this question, which is kind of more, specific in terms of what do you think about this Friday session staying only on Zoom, or should I consider going back to the room, making it hybrid, still, obviously being on Zoom, because I don't want to lose the ability to bring in speakers from different parts of the planet that can't travel here because of various limitations, as well as have people like, Mike that can pop in from Cancun and see what's going on back home in Dallas or that kind of thing. Any thoughts there? Anybody? Again, there's no bad thought here. I'm really just looking for feedback. Jason, you want to go ahead? You open your mic.
So I think back on the Wednesday thing being mixed, I think when it's mixed environment, one kind of dominates the other. And sometimes I almost wish, and I'm kind of experiencing this with Toastmasters, that they were split into two different events. So there's like an online only and in person. Because I feel like the in-person people, they probably are not focused on the online people at all. And then, the online, when they come and talk in front of the camera, yes, we get to see the people that are in person. But when we do our thing online, I don't know that people pay attention, or I can't tell.
Well, the good news is for you, Jason, they do.
Yeah.
Actually, and sometimes I've had feedback that says the people online get more attention in the room than we do, because interestingly enough, right, we're all focused on the screen.
Okay.
So
and then
when
the
you
comment
pop
on Friday,
and it's just Jason in the screen talking. So in the room, I've had a couple people pull me aside and said, "Boy, it seems like you're really giving the Zoom people more value than you are us." And then the other thing is the other critique, and I'm taking everything in, is the way we are, the way to do it in the way we do it in the room, which is it can be a little uncomfortable. I've got some members, I won't mention specific names, of people that really don't like having to come up to the front of the room and stand in front of the computer and stand in front of the room. They feel uncomfortable with that because they're not into public speaking. But I think I will just tell you, I understand that, and I would personally prefer just to have people like we used to do, because you couldn't do 50 people in the room the way we used to do it, and have them come, move around. So logistically, if the room gets bigger, last Wednesday we had, I think 18 in the room and about 11 on Zoom or something like that. So the balance has shifted on Wednesday to being more in the room than on Zoom, but there's still a contingent of people on Zoom, and I'm not inclined to cut them out, but I'm also looking for ideas on how to do that. So I think that's good input. Alan, did you have any other thoughts on that? Your mic's still open.
Yeah, just one side comment, and this is not a negative at all. I think it's a positive, but the Zoom folks have the added advantage of being able to detail a lot more information and convey a lot more information in the chat, which the live attendees really don't. So if you judiciously copy the chat, so to speak, and save it, you've got a lot more information perhaps about a person that you're interested in, getting together with.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I do miss out a lot on the people in person. I want their info, but I didn't get it in chat, and I didn't take very good notes when they did it, so it's kind of bad on me. But
Well, the chat is a value add, or at least it's a bonus, if the way I view it,
yeah,
since we moved to Zoom, because the real intention, and we'll talk about this in a second when we get to the Facebook group and the roster and the members directory and that kind of stuff. The real model, and if somebody thinks the model needs to be tweaked, I'm okay with that. But the real model is you come into the room, you bring your business card, you introduce yourself, you immediately get added, if you have a card, to our recent guests on the roster, on the directory actually now. And then if you meet membership requirements, you move from recent guests underneath your category of business as a member. And then that makes it easier for people to find you and reach out to you and refer business to you. But it doesn't replace the need to having a one-to-one. So, and I think if you're really looking for people's contact information, unless the Zoom happens to be their first time, everybody here, it's intended that everybody here should be making sure that the roster reflects their right phone number, what they do, and even if, now they can even have their Be Connected handle. And on Be Connected, which we'll talk about in a second, they can have a whole lot more of information and, basically have their business dating profile, so that they can not only people in RP Networkers can easily identify and get understanding before they even have a one-to-one. So there's some connecting the dots there, but thanks. That's good input, Jason. Thanks. Any other thoughts on that before I move on? Don't see any open.
I have more on the Friday thing.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
So one thing I like, kind of the contrast of the Wednesday to the Friday. Wednesday feels like it's a little bit more passive. I mean, we each get to speak for 30 seconds, but after that, it's just kind of like how you use your time the rest of the time while you're there. This one is like, you're kind of brainstorming and more actively involved. And I feel like I get to know people a little bit better that participate here. And to me, it's, I don't know, just neat contrast. So I like the online too, because you can, even if you can't drive in to get to it, you can still participate even if you're short on time for the day. So especially for me, because it would be a hike if I visited. I mean, it would be an extra hour and 20 minutes to.
Right, you're coming from Fort Worth, so that's
each way. So it's like half the day almost just to.
Yeah. I love having you part of the group. So I get that. I appreciate that. To be honest with you, one of the reasons why I only want to do I personally invest probably 25 hours a week.
Yep.
In all of this, keeping everything, all the plates spinning with regard to the group. And it is easier. I mean, it's kind of selfish, but it is easier for me just to do this Friday meeting only on Zoom, so I don't have to go out either. So I get the time waste or the time. Is there anybody in this group though? I would like to get, if anybody has a perspective of they wish that we should do these in a room. Anybody think that, or is everybody? I mean, it's kind of. I'm not sure we'll get. If people we're comfortable being here, but is there anybody that thinks that we should add the in the room component to Fridays at this point? I'm seeing nod head from Karen and Alan and anybody.
Sorry, Dave, we're lazy. We don't want to have to get out and drive.
Okay. No apology necessary. No, this is the key. The key is your time you still can't get back. No matter what we do, whether we do it on Zoom or we do it in the room, the time once you invest the time's gone. So I appreciate and respect that. So I just want to make sure that, number one, your investment is as efficient as possible, and number two, that you're getting the maximum value from that investment. And so that's my desire, and part of it is I just want to make sure I'm doing that. Alan, did you have a thought?
My thought is fairly simple. I just don't think we're going to get as much participation live in the room as we can get through Zoom. And why lose those opportunities, to start a conversation?
Okay. Thank you. That was simple, but it was powerful and important for me to hear. It helps me in my trying to expand my mind beyond that. Mako, did you have something?
No, just one observation over the last several months of participating on Fridays, that doing it via Zoom has just enabled you to get some great speakers from across the country made available to us. Whereas, we would have never gotten a lot of these people if we were doing it face to face.
Yeah.
And that's just, from the speaker perspective.
Yeah, the bar is much lower when I'm asking speakers, because before, when we were doing it in the room and doing it Facebook Live, because we were doing kind of a hybrid thing there, right? We were making it available, but as you know, because you've been around and you've been investing a lot in being participating in the Fridays, but I had to, if they weren't coming to us from, we weren't doing it on Zoom, and if they weren't in the room, they weren't here in Dallas, I had to wait for that to occur. And we've got some good speakers even in that context, but I think it's much easier. So, and it's kind of goes back to what Karen was saying about, it, and even what Jason was saying about the time factor, the travel factor, not having to have more than one, event. At least we have Mondays is an in-person, and then Wednesdays is hybrid, but and if you need that face-to-face, which I think the face-to-face is still critical, so it takes a lot of work, I think, sometimes to build the relationship in a virtual, because remember, we talk about even in our networking, it's kind of become cliche and we kind of gloss over it, but people do business with people they know, like, and trust. People refer business to people they know, like, and trust. People don't recommend anybody if they don't trust them. And it takes more than just an elevator pitch or a business card for somebody to go from knowing you to liking you to trusting you. So in essence, that's been a fundamental of this group, is the know part you can accomplish in any of these settings. The like part you can also accomplish, but you can't, in most cases. Now, some people are, I trust Jason. I don't think we've ever met in person, have we, Jason?
No, we haven't.
But we've had enough conversations, enough one-to-ones, enough engagement that I do trust him, and I've referred and recommended people have a conversation with him if they're looking at automating their business and so on. But that's a steeper hill to climb when you're just doing it online. Is that fair to say, Jason, from your?
Definitely agree. Yeah. So it's like, it's hard to put a number on it, but I would say it's like 10 times faster to do it in person.
Yeah. You can jump up to that hill. I sit down with somebody on a Monday night over, a drink and a little bit of food.
Yeah.
They walked in the first time to Richardson Plano Networkers, and we sit there listen to Ricky Jean play music, and we eat, and we, they get to know, maybe, my wife is sometimes there. We get to know each other a little bit, and immediately they kind of maybe even leapfrog people that have been part of one of the other events on a regular basis. Does that make sense? So anyway, so that's that. Okay, so let's park that for a minute. I want to also move to, let's see. I'm going to go here. The Zoom toolbar is in my way. I just got to drag this window down a little bit so I can do this. Okay, so let's go to Richardson Plano Networkers, and can you see that Facebook group now? You're still seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
So this is a Richardson Plano Networkers. Is everybody here on one of the 313 members of this Facebook group? If you're not, open your mic and say no, and I won't yell it. I won't yell
I
it.
think I am.
Okay. So that's one of the, and that's, thank you, Alan, for being honest. You know, some people aren't on Facebook a lot, coming to Facebook for the group, but I wanted to just quickly share kind of the opportunity and why we did this. Again, I invest quite a bit of energy into keeping this group going, but basically this, as I say in the meetings often, is anybody who is on, that attends any one of those 3 events on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays is qualified to be part of the Facebook group. If you haven't come at least to the Zoom or the room for our Monday, or for our Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then if you request to be part of this Facebook group, I won't approve it, because this is an asset and an investment that, again, we're making for the people in the community. Any comments on that? One of the questions I've had is I get a number of people, I mean, probably one every other day, maybe even more, that request to be part of this Facebook group, but they've never been in the room. They said, oh, I just found out about the group, because the group's not hidden. They can find it on somebody searching on Facebook, and they say, hey, I want to do business in Richardson Plano, and they're looking on Facebook. They can find Richardson Plano Networkers Facebook group, and then they'll ask to be a member. And I have questions there that say, have you been on one of the meetings, Wednesday meeting, Friday meeting? Give me a little feedback just to see if they are legit. I just don't want spammers in the community. Any thoughts on that? I see Lloyd, you popped in. Do you have your mic open? You want to share a thought?
No, I'm just trying to manage technology because I'm doing this in my car and I've never done it before.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know if you can hear me.
Yes, so I can hear you, and you're doing a great job of managing. Just don't wreck your car. So
Okay.
yeah. So anyway, by the way, if you would like, Lloyd, we gave everybody that was here earlier, a 30-second window just to introduce themselves. You might want to tell the other folks here that are on the Zoom what your angle is, if you will, on this discussion. So just so we know where you're coming from.
Yeah, so I do business as Electric Lloyd, and my handle is helping people save money on the essential services they need. Specifically, I'm talking about like electricity and mobile phone services. So I'm also very passionate about working with veterans. If you know anybody that's getting out or about to get out, I'd love to be introduced to them. Apartment managers and small business owners and property operations managers at property management firms. So that's me, and I'll leave it right there.
Okay. So, and Lloyd, what we're doing here is having a discussion around, and we'll do this with other folks' businesses as we talk about what is manageable, sustainable, and to help advance our businesses. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you, Lloyd, just because I know you're on the road. And then if you want to come back, you'll have to unmute, and that's fine. I'm watching for the unmutes so that people can weigh in. John, did you have a comment?
No, I accidentally unmuted myself, so mute me back.
All right, that's fine. No apologies. Just we're working through this. So let me share with you. First of all, if you haven't in the group, anything I would consider an announcement, like letting you know upcoming events, who's going to be speaking on Friday. It comes through primarily through Meetup, but I also generally share those announcements to the Facebook groups. So it's just another way that you can have access to it. I updated the roster from the people that were there on Wednesday. We had new people on Wednesday. And if you look here, it says roster for RP Networkers 818. If you click on this PDF, it will, I can open it. I'll open it with Firefox so you can see it. You can see that there's the roster that we have here is available to you. And you'll always find the roster on this this group underneath announcements. That's if I remove the announcement when that roster becomes obsolete, but it's actually still in the discussion thread. There's when you look at a group, there's about the group, discussion, and announcements. The announcements, I label announcements as basically just that. However, if you have an offer, a deal, or whatever, for the most part, that's promoting your business, that you can also use this group for that. So, for example, let me stay here with the announcements for a second. So when I post, I've invested quite a bit since just before the pandemic, or since before this, in creating another place for us to showcase people in my network and other people to a broader audience. Warriors, as I call them. You guys I all label as warriors. And so the Warrior versus Zombie podcast is really an opportunity for me to talk to warriors. Think of it as having a one-to-one with me, except that we're recording it and it's going to be broadcast to all general podcasting platforms. That's kind of what that is. So I share those most recent episodes. The episode 36, which is not the most recent now, because I just did episode 37 yesterday with Doug Grady, and I do these now live every Thursday at 11 a.m. for about 30 minutes to between 30 minutes and an hour. It's no longer than, it's usually 30 to 40 minutes, and I'll be talking to warriors from all walks of life. And I do that live in the Hive, and you don't know what that means, because I'll talk to you a little bit about Be Connected in a second, and then publish it to all the platforms. So this what happened to be the episode last week where Randy talked to me, and I told a little bit of my story and why I'm doing what I'm doing. So if you haven't had a conversation, or you're trying to figure out what the heck is Dave doing with, RP Networkers, or why is he doing this, and if you haven't heard my story, you can go and listen to that. The thing I would offer there is that opportunity is available to anybody in this group. I mean, I'm happy to feature and help anybody have their own podcast, if you will, be a guest. My podcast focuses primarily on the guests. This is an anomaly. It's the only one of the 37 episodes that have been published now that really is mostly about me. All the other episodes are about the guest, and the intention really is to increase my value, or our value, to those guests. Those I usually post as announcements. This happens to show that same podcast now available on all audio platforms. And I'll do a little plug for Ricky here. He wrote the song "It's Not the Getting There," and it became an obvious bumper music, or for Warrior versus Zombie podcast. So you'll hear Ricky Jean Wright every episode, a segment in each of the breaks on the segment. The other thing is, on these Friday sessions, these masterminds in particular, under the announcements, when I'm done with this, I'll transfer it, put it on YouTube, and then make it available underneath this whole list. If you see 5 comments here and look at it, you'll see that it is each of the masterminds underneath here. So you can go under the announcements again, and you can see our mastermind when the Facebook Live that I did explaining what we're trying to do on Fridays. The first mastermind that we kicked off and explained what a mastermind is. Then our 723, July 30th, and then last Julie Cotton, and I'll be putting up Tim Marvel's in that subsequently from last week. And then this one will go up after that. Okay, so that's in the announcements. And then there's just some things that I think are interesting to others. The other thing is we have a YouTube channel. So literally everything that we record, including Warrior versus Zombie and also any of these Friday Stay Connected, are on the YouTube channel. So if you go here and you click on this link in the window, you'll see this is our YouTube channel. We're at 58 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed to this YouTube channel, we have to get to 100 subscribers to the channel so that YouTube will allow us to say RP Networkers or customize it, make it a branded channel. Right now it's under my name. And as soon as I get to the point where I can make it a branded channel, once we get to 100 subscribers. We got Ricky Jean there pretty quickly on his YouTube channel, and he's able to do more with it. So if you haven't subscribed to that channel, you don't get spammed. Anytime, what you get is a notification if you subscribe, if you're ever in YouTube, that says, hey, there's a new video available on YouTube from this channel. So that way so there is a benefit to it, and you're not going to get a bunch of noise. Okay, so let's go back to this. So that's what's generally in the form of announcements. There's Music Fridays. There's things that are kind of recurring that I put in there. And then, like I said, the roster is under the announcements. And then if you go into discussions, and I'm giving you a little more here because I want you to give me some feedback. For example, Alan Zartman has gotten back into the group, become very active, and he's using it to share some of the examples of the work that he's done, because sometimes it can be kind of abstract, and even if you have a one-to-one with somebody, it's hard to kind of see what they're doing. So he'll post, not every day. I mean, it's not like he's overwhelming the feed, but he'll say, and then I posted the podcast, and then Zip posted a graphic that he thought was interesting. Alan, here's another from Alan. Here's Krista Medlock. She's joined the group recently. Sonia Cabell. There's people that have been in and out of the group. I will say this, is that I also, when somebody wants to post something in this group, I look at their commitment to the group. All right. So if you've been in the room, you made it up, you're in this Facebook group, but you never come to the meetings anymore, and then you want to share a post to the group, I generally don't allow that unless it's something that I think really would categorically be interesting to everybody, or it's a nonprofit or something that's going to provide community benefit. Any thoughts about that? Let's talk specifically about that, or anything that I've said thus far, because I've been doing way too much talking here. Anybody comment?
No, I think that what you're doing is okay, because I'm in a couple other groups and they just let anybody in. And there is a question: have you been to our meeting? And a lot of those said no. And so that's a good filter if they're not going to be committed. And this is Zoom meeting. If you can't get on a Zoom meeting, why do you want to join the group? So I I think this is a good filter to have on letting people into the group.
Okay, Lloyd. Any other points of view that I mean, again, I'm not just looking. Part of the mastermind is I've shared some of my logic, some of what I'm trying to do, And I'm encouraged by the affirmation, but also if there's any thoughts around that. I mean, Lloyd was pretty clear in that, you know, keeping the membership of this Facebook group to members, people who've invested in being part of the group. To me, it's a way of honoring and supporting the people that are investing in the group and are showing up. The other part of it is, and I think most of you, and I'm not most of you on the list, but most of the people in the group, I think could do a better job of utilizing the Facebook group to share some of the value they can provide. We don't want you adding people to email lists, and we don't want you spamming everybody. I get too much. I get 350 emails in one of my email boxes a day. I don't want any more stuff coming in. However, this is a place where, for example, if, you know, whether I'm looking at just the people here, Alan or Jason or John, or, you know, there's something that you want to get out, and maybe it's, you can't make it to the meeting or whatever, or maybe you made it to the meeting but you're not sure anybody heard your announcement or your offer. This is a place you can do that gives it a little more of a lifespan. Does that seem reasonable? Does anybody not like the fact that we can post offers to this group?
I think that's prudent. It keeps the fluff out of the group, and for quite honestly, I have not been very active in the Facebook group because simply I don't like Facebook. But I'm now trying to get accustomed to the fact that we live in a digital world these days, and it's less that in person is not nearly as prominent as it used to be.
Okay, so another vote of confidence. I want to show you, for example, I'm going to give you a real life example here because I'm just looking, see where it says pending posts here. I look at this, and here's a Sam Orr at Brick Tavern from, I won't read his name, but from a person who's actually been in the group a long time ago. I've not seen them for quite some time, and they regularly post events to this meeting and to this group, and frankly, I'm declining it because, number one, I don't think that's the place. The person hasn't invested. You wouldn't even know the person. I do know that they have that way back, probably pre-pandemic, year prior, you know. So to me, that's not consistent with kind of what we're trying to accomplish here. Anybody have a thought about that?
So I think this group, like the idea of this is great, and I actually haven't been utilizing it as much as I think I should have be with like the videos and stuff.
Right.
But I also think the Facebook group functionality like offers a good alternative to Meetup for people that aren't there. And I don't know, I've seen mixes of people, they'll make like a public group, and then people that kind of get initiated, they get invited to a private one. That way people still get like the notifications for networking events and kind of the bigger things, and then it's kind of like a funnel to get into that private group, but that's more work for you. So,
well, you know, no, in fact, I'm glad you brought that up, Jason, because that's actually one of the things that I struggle with a little bit, because I do get people to say, yeah, I just found out about the group, and then I'll send them a message back and say, what it says when they sign up for the group, it says this group requires participation in the meeting, either, you know, and then as we've talked about, it's in Zoom or in the room. And I reply back to them and say, we'd love to have you in the group. Here's when we meet. We meet on, you know, I explain it to them, and then I kind of I park it for a little bit and see if they actually show up on the Zoom in the room. And if they do, then I approve. But what you're bringing up is something that I've kind of been thinking of is if I add them to the group and they haven't been in the room, or I don't add them, am I not allowing the promotion of the group? Any thoughts? I mean, that's kind of what you just said in your own way, is that some people may find us on Facebook and then ultimately end up in the room, which is our objective. And it's not a big deal to approve them. It's just if they just join online and then
Yeah, the spam.
we start getting spam. And that's, I tried it for a couple of people just to see what would happen. And I started getting Bitcoin advertisements and, and some other things, and said, okay, that was a bust. But anybody else think that we should let or open that up to active participants before they become an active participant?
No, I think they have to have something in the fire, so to speak, some level of commitment to show that they're truly interested and not just trying to put up a sales pitch.
Okay.
So here's a question. Do you know, I'm not as familiar with it, can you make different like permissions in the members? So like people that you don't know, you just mute them completely and they can't even submit stuff? And
Oh yeah. No, it would be if I put somebody in and then they didn't show up, as long as they could be in just kind of trolling, right? They don't have
right.
to, they don't have to acknowledge, so they could just be one of these 312 people, and I wouldn't know unless they try to post something or whatever. Because I'm not going to go back and say, oh, I let this guy on Facebook and he's never showed up to a meeting, and I go delete him off. But if they become obnoxious, then I do. So, and yes, I can do that. That's not a hard thing. Okay, well, I don't want to belabor that one anymore unless somebody's got any things. I want to bounce over here because we're at 12:47. I want to land the plane for this discussion. But I do want to share. Again, I already showed you the the YouTube channel. Any questions or thoughts on the YouTube channel itself about that resource? Anybody have questions or just how to take advantage of that? I mean, I think it's pretty obvious. It's basically a repository of all of our recordings from these Friday sessions as well as the podcast.
I'm still a little unclear about how to use YouTube in relation to the networking group. I mean, what do we want to do?
Right. Yeah. It's really a resource. Again, I do share the YouTube videos to the Facebook group just so you know they're there. But when you click on the video, it comes back to the YouTube channel. The purpose really is to, when speakers come in, we don't pay them on our Friday meetings. So this is a way that they're not just dependent upon the people that show up, so they can share the videos themselves. It does have some cross-channel, if you will, promotion, gets people aware of Richardson Plano Networkers. You can go back and say, hey, I really, Doug Grady, who was my guest on Thursday, it was pretty fascinating. I didn't get to hear the whole thing, or I was talking, and I want to go back and hear his video. It's on this channel. You with me? So that's what that's for. So you can go back, or if you missed something, and then it should over time hopefully have some cross promotion or value to our meetup and our Facebook group. If you search for Richardson Plano Networkers on YouTube, it will take you to this. It's not branded as such, but it will bring you, because I've tagged those groups in the description.
Dave, would it be better for us to watch it on YouTube or Spotify?
Well, the podcast, it's not better either way. I would like for you to just be subscribed to the channel. When it comes to the podcast, if you listen to podcasts audio, I recommend you use whatever podcasting platform is easiest for you. But the Fridays are right now not on any podcast platform. They're just on YouTube. So that part is still there. The last thing I want to talk about, because I know it's relatively new, is the Be Connected. You've seen as I went into season 2 with Warrior versus Zombie, I promoted as up live in the Warrior versus Zombie live in the Hive. It still uses Zooms. It's integrated with Zoom. I'm using the YouTube channel, and as you can see here, if you look here, I have Warrior versus Zombie live with Doug Grady. This is simply a replay of and oh, by the way, if you're not in Be Connected, you will need to register, but then this basically is, and then there's a group channel. So we're starting to build a group channel here that has the season 2 episodes that have been recorded in what they call live in the Hive. They're recorded on Be Connected. This is a resource. Again, we're not going to have time to get into it. I may want to talk about this on future masterminds, but I'm trying to integrate this and increase the value here. And as you can see, as opposed, in addition to my 30 seconds, if somebody comes to Be Connected, they can see a public profile, which is very similar this right now to my LinkedIn profile. And then in addition to that, I've put in information that is descriptive of the types of who I am, where I came from, that kind of stuff that's not publicly available, that allows Be Connected to offer up potential people. Jason actually has a show. Jason, do you have an upcoming live show here?
Not scheduled yet, but next week. I've been doing a little bit of traveling. It's kind of messed me up, but
yeah, no, it's okay. No, I wasn't. Do you have a recording of one of your previous shows, or?
They may have expired, so I only put them up for 2 weeks, so it kind of clears the.
Okay. Yeah, and anyway, he has a tech show that he does, I think at 10 a.m. on Saturdays. Mm-hmm. And so the point here is that being part of having a Be United membership is free. And you can get access to our enterprise account level. There's benefits that come without making a financial investment. It also gives you the opportunity to make 10 connections within Be Connected to see how it works before it'll try to get you to upgrade to at least a connection generator membership. So that's all part of that. And then within Richardson Plano Networkers, this happens to be my personal Be Connected account, but there's also an association account that we have in Be Connected. So, and any of the members of Be Connected, if you have any of the paid memberships, you get a 25% discount off of that. And so I'm not going to get into all those, but there are some videos and stuff that explain that. And if you have any questions about that, but the most important thing is really there's benefits to you as a Be Connected member, even if it's joining for free. And so one of the things I'm trying to do and kind of working with is trying to integrate this into the whole set of value offerings that we have. Any comments or thoughts on that? Before we got about a minute, so we won't have time to drill down on that. But any thoughts on that other than I'm not sure what to do with it or whatever? Because I already know some of you or kind of know what I'm talking about, and some of you don't. No comments.
So I guess I think at least like the mastermind, if it was streamed there, it may be a way to recruit more people, get a different change of pace. And then I don't know.
Thank you for offering that idea, because one of the things that you guys can specifically comment on this, but I'm getting ready to move this mastermind into an event only for, underneath the RP Networkers group. And I've set up under Be Connected a group for our RP Networkers, and we're going to create a Friday. I want to create a Friday show, which will still be on Zoom, but it'll be. I'm thinking about doing it with a different Zoom ID and allowing you to register specifically for that, and adding a little more structure to it. One of the things I've started to do, and I learned finally, with the webinar format, is that with Zoom, I have the ability to do the webinars, and there is some structure that the webinars would allow us to do what we're doing here in the mastermind a little more, I think, efficiently. And there would be people that are on stage, or, basically panelists, and then people who are attendees. And then you can I could bring all of you into the panel, or somebody could say, I just want to listen in. You with me? I just want to be in the audience. I don't want to be in the discussion, right? So what you suggested, Jason, was kind of one of the things I'm thinking, is making this Friday event not only an event on Meetup, not only one that we're doing, but also and on doing it on Zoom, but making it available to the entire community, but doing it in a way that's a little more organized. Does anybody have any adverse or positive reaction to that thought, if I've explained it? No insight? Let me ask this, Jason, was that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah. So I kind of feel like I keep talking, but so to me, I like it because it may be an opportunity to it's interesting to meet new people, and if they it's just kind of a slow way to slowly bring on fresh faces, and so I like it, and that's why.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you suggested it, because that was one of the ideas I'm pinging around. So again, I appreciate everybody kind of engaging with this whole thing, because what I wanted you to do, not necessarily do I just appreciate it to expand my mind and give me some thoughts that I can process and do something with, but also you hopefully got a little bit of a flavor of how we could walk through potentially your challenges or needs with your business in terms of how to tackle this. How can we come up with a strategy that's achievable and manageable and sustainable for you to grow your business, and what you're doing today, right? And how we might help you think about ways to connect the dots to actually achieve that. That's going to be an open invitation. So if you're today part of this, or you see this video later and you say, boy, I'd like to come in and get some thoughts around what I'm trying to do to see beyond myself. I mean, we all tend to think our ideas are good, right? And we all tend to also put ourselves in a box that we don't necessarily need to be in, if we're, so we can expand. And that's the whole purpose of this, right? So if Karen, all the work that and I know we've done some masterminding around the legacy planner and previous iterations and stuff like that, but I would submit that I think that was helpful to you, right?
Yes, that was.
Right,
And then
so it wasn't just me. There was other people giving Karen ideas. She was trying on things. It's kind of like, does this fit? Does it make me look fat? Seriously. I mean, you think you look good. You think it's a good thing, but it helps. And it's not just about affirming it. It's also, but did you think about this? Yeah, did you think about that? Maybe you should do that and this. It's really not usually a yes, but. Remember we did the improv discussion with Julie Cotton a while back? the creative part of the mastermind should be yes and. Yes, I can see where that's going, but and let's think about maybe moving that idea up a notch, or maybe dialing it back a notch, whatever. So it's allowing the mastermind to have some creativity around a topic that you care about, right? Because it's not just about what I'm very passionate about building this community, providing value, and doing what we want to do with Rich Plano Networkers, and hopefully you guys are all on board with that. So I thought it would be a good topic to really kind of kick off this. Jason brought an idea and a few weeks back, and I thought we had a good discussion around that. And I'd like to see the rest of you that are interested, even if you think you got it all figured out, come back to one of these sessions and say, I'll volunteer. Let's talk about my business and what I'm trying to do. And I mean, you have to be a little bit, it is a little bit risky, because, you're putting yourself out there, right? Because, your ideas are on display. So anyway, all right. Well, it's 1 o'clock next Friday. At this point, we're going to do another mastermind. And again, the focus of that mastermind is going to be on helping you with your business. And as I say, if you want to volunteer to be first or be in focus on that session, just let me know. And if there's some type of promotion you want in terms of type of people you'd like to participate beyond this particular group, that's totally fine. Just tell me and I'll reach out to those folks to bring more people into the equation. At some point, I'd like to talk about, financial services, and, we got enough financial services in the group and people to kick around, how we can be more efficient, those kinds of things, and be more
We can do a
manageable.
panel discussion on
Yeah.
that.
And again, that's why the format I was thinking, okay, so let's say it could be, we're going to talk about, financial planning, and here's the three, here's the people that really are in that, and they can be the panel to kind of talk about what they're doing if we don't want to focus just on one. All right. So I'm throwing it out there. People hear the recording of this. It's out there. If you weren't in the meeting, the mastermind, don't apologize, but reach out to me and we'll do that. We have